Bienvenidos y welcome to the Biz Bruja podcast, where reclaiming our powerful intuition, our sacred medicina, embracing our magic and healing ancestral patterns, invoke powerful creations in our own well-being, our lives, familias, community, and our businesses. Remembering that our businesses are so important at this time. I'm the creatrix of this blogcast, the Biz Bruja herself, Vanessa Codorniu, a modern-day bruja, fourth-generation psychic medium, clinical hypnotist, energy healer, and soul biz mentor and coach. An Argentine-American who started reading adults at 16, became a professional intuitive at 22, and now guides creatives, intuitives, healers, and entrepreneurs to break through fears, connect to the practical power of their intuition so they can serve the world powerfully. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Bienvenidos a esta conversación, to this conversation today. I am so excited to dive deep and have a conversation on Toltec wisdom with Don Jose Ruiz. Welcome, Don Jose Ruiz.
Thank you, Vanessa. Very good to be with you today.
Yeah, so good. And everyone, before we get into this conversation that I cannot wait to have, I do want to read Don Jose Ruiz's beautiful bio. And so Don Jose Ruiz is the internationally best-selling author of The Fifth Agreement. As a Toltec master of transformation and modern-day shaman, he has dedicated his life to sharing the wisdom of the ancient Toltec through his books, lectures, and journeys to sacred sites around the world. Other books include Ripples of Wisdom, My Good Friend, The Rattlesnake, The Wisdom of the Shamans, The Medicine Bag, Shaman Rituals and Ceremonies for Personal Transformation, and the newly released Shamanic Power Animals, Embracing the Teachings of Our Non-Human Friends. You know, it almost feels silly, Don Jose Ruiz, that I ask, how your ancestors have inspired you, but I want to ask anyway, because it's evident in your work. But in your view, how have your ancestors shaped who you are today and the sacred work that you share with the world?
Well, the most powerful thing they have taught me was faith. Faith to have in yourself, and faith to have in this world that you can manifest it like a painter that paints in the canvas. When you apply with your faith in yourself, you can overcome all the achievements. So I see my ancestors, 2 generations, my grandmother in her older age, like going up the Toltec tradition, like embracing the Catholicism. And, many people were saying, why you do that? And she goes, well, this is part of our nature. We embrace everything that comes to us. Then I also see my father, how he mixed the Toltec tradition with his awareness as a medical doctor and the philosophy. And it was very magical to see that, and how even the whole dream wanted to get comfortable in superstition. But he said, no, we have to speak the truth. So he had faith in himself to deliver. So I also am in this path of having faith in ourselves to be true to yourself. And that's what they taught me.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Were there any ancestral patterns that you needed to break? Like, for so many of us, we have these challenges that our ancestors took on, to survive, right? Like in my family, there's a lot of psychic mediums, and we do a little espiritismo, curanderismo, right? We mix it in with Catholicism. And my family didn't want me to do this work, the healing work and the vidente, like work with seeing and knowing. But I'm the first one to break through. So was there anything that you felt you had to transform or to heal in order to be who you are today?
Yes, absolutely. And the dream that I had to break was the dream of machismo. The dream of machismo, that we have to be a certain way as a male and as a woman in this tradition, to be strong and suppress divine mother, because that blinds us of what we really are. We're nature. And when we know that we're just life, it doesn't matter what kind of human we are. We're just living beings. So the whole stereotype, the whole pretending, the fear that we're coming to suppress before we're suppressed, that dream, I had to break it because of the generation that I grew up. And of course, it's been the bullying, the mask, the pretending, because every machista that I saw, even though they were spiritual masters, they were alone because their heart was closed. So I see that needed to be open, to be connected to Divine Mother. And many people say that they love Divine Mother, but how they treat themselves is not loving Divine Mother. So that was one thing that I had to unlearn, to embrace what I have inside of me, to be, free. And it's taken a long time because it always shapeshifts into a new form, a new excuse, a new pattern. But the truth is that when we're honest with ourselves, that's it. And when we're resisting, that's it. So the dream of machista has been affecting the tradition for so long, because before the conquest, there was nothing of that. It was just life. We learn to be machista. We learn to behave a certain way, or we'll be punished. We go to hell. We go to heaven. The thing is that this world is whatever we create of it. So getting aware of that dream and permitting myself to remove it from my life, I know that I will grow up to be just like I was born.
Thank you, Don Jose Ruiz, for that, because as someone who suffered through machismo de los hombres de mi familia, of my father's side, it's very strong. And I think that for our Latino community, Latinx community, and also machismo morphs into other chauvinistic and other ways in other cultures, that it's when men deny their own sacred feminine, and when women can't trust either the physical masculine or the inner masculine, or don't like or dislike the sacred feminine within themselves because they're told that it's weak, that we suffer. And I love how you call it a dream. And can you share with us why you keep calling it a dream, for those of us who are watching who do not know?
Because when I was growing up, I was taught the art of dreaming. And the art of dreaming, first, is that we are aware that we're sleeping in our night sleep, to get awareness. But then after I began getting awareness in my night's sleep and calling it just a dream when I sleep, my grandfather and my father taught me, no, this dream that we live right now is a dream. And we're dreaming the dream of the planet, which is the dream of the humans, which is the dream made with words and stories. Because all of this, you can see different traditions, different languages, different ways of life. Like, let's say, from the dream of Africa, Asia, Europe, Americas, they're all different dreams. It's what we created with the word. And many people are not impeccable with them, and many people are impeccable with them. And the people who are not impeccable with their dream, with their words, create a nightmare and believe their nightmare, believe the bubble, and they use the power of their belief against themselves. When we wake up, we can no longer go back to sleep. And we see this just like colors to paint in our life. So doing this path, you cannot blame other people anymore. You make your choice of what you want to create. So this is when we call ourselves the dream masters, when we wake up. So we can, and the beautiful thing about this is that, the little children, they learn from us, not what we say to them. They see how we dream, and that's how they learn. So when we wake up, we dream our life. And that's the most inspiring thing, to see somebody living their dream, their freedom. Just like I was explaining earlier about my ancestors, how they have the freedom to believe in themselves, to have faith in themselves, that they woke up from a nightmare of someone else's dream, the secondary character of someone else's story, and just became themselves without taking things personally. When someone offends us, when someone judges us, it doesn't affect us. Why? Because it's not truth. It's truth in their head. They're trying to control us, back to the dream of machismo. But when you know that life is a dream, you have the power to change it when you want to.
Thank you so much. That is so powerful, because I think it really nos pone el cambio en nuestras manos. It places the power within our own hands to unpack the dreams that are not centering us. Like you said, we were secondary characters, and for us to reclaim that part of ourselves. I love that so much. When did you realize, because you grew up with your family, una familia tan hermosa, gave you so much wisdom. When did you realize that you wanted to share with the world, right? Because like for me, my family was just spiritual, so it was just a way of life. And then over time, I was like, oh, wait a minute, it's not just a way of life. I'm here to share it. Did you have a moment or a set of circumstances that made you aware that you were here to teach others, to write, to help, to disseminate this information and this healing in the world?
Well, I had a feeling before I entered my nightmare. When I call it enter a nightmare, it was my teenage years.
Yeah.
My dream of, pure pressure, my dream of proving myself to whatever it was. But before that, I remember going with my grandmother, my grandfather, my father, and my mother. They used to work in this temple in Barrio Logan in San Diego. And they did service there. And one day I remember just seeing my grandmother with open heart helping people. And one day she said, come, Jose, help me. Put your hands on this person. So I put my hands on their back. And she said, just close your eyes. And right there, I felt something that was just so natural. Mm-hmm. And when she asked me later that day, she said, what you want to do, what you want to be when you're growing up? And I said, I want to be just like you and my father and my grandfather. I want to share this Toltec message wherever I go. And the funny thing is, she said, and where do you want to do that? And I said, I want to do it in Japan. And she goes, why Japan? Because I just want to have the faith inside of me that I'm just going to open my heart without knowing if they're understanding me or not, but the translator will do all the work. And sister, like 20 years after that, I got that dream. I got to be in Japan. And I got to experience that moment. but that's the moment that I decided to. But either way, I went to my universal training of life. I went to pure pressure of life. I went to, addictions and to all that stuff that happened, that suppressed my heart, that, I could have lost my life, my eyesight, my freedom. But after I gained awareness, I began peeling an onion. And every year, it's like something else gets peeled away. From the addiction, from using love against myself, from wanting to be something, to be validation. At this point of life where I am now, it's just about enjoying life. And enjoying life, there's nothing to do but to serve, to give people, what I have inside. And this is what I felt when I was 8 years old as well.
Oh my God, I love it. And I think that when we go back to our childhood, for many of us, there could be that pure moment, right? Because we're still in wonder. Estamos todavía con el espíritu tan abierto. We're still so open that we're like, ay, yo quiero hacer esto, yo quiero hacer el otro. And then reality, right? Peer pressure, the group mind around us can take us off the path. And I'm so glad that you find your way back and you're able to make your dreams come true in such beautiful, big ways, and to help others, right? To awaken and to remember. I think that many Judeo-Christian religions are so judgmental that you're the sinner, you're this thing, rather than looking at the fact that we're on a journey, right? Yeah. We're on a journey and we fall through holes, we climb back out, we go through the worlds, we come face to face with our inner fears and our inner demons or our inner spirits, and then we rise. So when you decided and you came back to write, was it, because I never thought of being an entrepreneur. I was just like, here, this is what I do. I'm giving it away for free. And then with time and time and time, people were like, why you work so hard in corporate and then you do all this in your house and you're always running around. Bit by bit, it became, was your first instinct to teach classes, or did you start writing right away when you came back to yourself and to your dream?
Well, when I write, I don't sit down with a pen and write. I'm an open channel. So my mind just flows, and experiences that I feel, I talk about them because that's how I turn my pain or my inspiration into medicine. And I just go, so I capture it in a recording device. It used to be cassette players, but now it's in my telephone. And after I create so many stories and teachings, we get it transcribed, and my publishers, and they edit it, because to make books is not just one person sitting down. It's a whole team. You get inspiration, you get through it, and then you get the editors to part. So some make it on the book, some don't make it on the book. But the important thing is to not cut your wings and to let everything flow. And it's like a puzzle. Every piece will be placed in the same thing, but the important thing is to give a message to ourselves. And that's the power of feeling. Like the medicine bag is our sacred heart. So if we have things that are not, healing, like if it's drama, if it's poison, resentment, our heart's not going to be healed and our medicine is going to be corrupt. But when we open up the medicine bag and we see what's inside of our hearts, what's stopping us with no judgment at all, it's like an autopsy. We take these things out, we take things out so we can completely are ready to flow. And what is flowing are inspiration. So that's the number one key to create the inspiration, because when you create with I have to, or have to keep up, or I have to make a better book than I did the past before, then we're just, slaved by a thought. But to be an open channel is to really be the artist. That's why Toltec means artist of the spirit in Nahuatl, because that's what we really are.
I love that, artist of the spirit. I think you're going to help so many who are watching, because even me, right? People are like, where's your book? Where's your book? And I'm like, oh, I don't have the time because I feel like I have to put it in these organ. And it's like, no, I'm listening to you. I'm like, I just have to ground and press that play and just let it flow. And this idea that still the world holds sway on me and others, where it's like, no, it has to look this way or be this way. And you're just like, we just go and we just speak and we do it as a team. I love that so much. And then when your books came out, how did you apply? I mean, we were already seeing how you apply Toltec wisdom to writing and publishing. How did you apply that in terms of building a business? Because some people, they write a book, but then they never create anything around it, right? But you're teaching all over the world, you're speaking. Well, did it happen organically as well? Did you sit and meditate on it? Was it a team effort? Was it all of the above?
Well, in my family tradition, first came the teachings, first came the sharing, and later came the book.
Yes.
So it wasn't like the book and then later the teachings. First, what got the attention of the publishers was that we were doing this, touring around, and especially my grandmother stayed in one place, and she toured like 2-3 different places, but she always stayed in the same place. But my father, when he took the grains of the Toltec tradition, and he went all around the world. He kept pouring it, and then one day the publisher, noticed them. They went to Teotihuacan, and the Four Agreements was born.
I love this so much. And so really, it's an intergenerational legacy of Toltec wisdom where you serve community, and then the books came out. And I love that you said that, because in the last few years, I think I've been online 10 years, but serving more, where people are running to the book first, get the book first. And that's why I kept saying, wait, when I'm ready, I'll do it. I'm serving, I'm doing my thing. I'm doing what needs to be done. But almost like coaches in the outside world sometimes try to shame you. But what you're saying is, of course, and it makes so much sense, we need to be in the work. And I always call it the trenches, right? You need to be in there doing the work to have something to write about.
Yes, because one thing we have to understand, people who shame themselves and shame others, is they shaming themselves. They're putting too much pressure on them. And sometimes even serving in spirituality can become a mask to not deal with your things. And because what happens is that we have to let our healing marinate, like the Tibetan master, she said once. She said she loves to cook, and one asked her, what is your favorite ingredient? And she responded, time. And go, time? That's not an ingredient. Yes, it is, because it marinates things. So when we marinate our life, the book is going to come when it's ready. There's no hurry to it. There's no pressure, because then is when it's not coming from the heart. And it's like trying to put the GMO to the plants to make the biggest orange, but then the orange makes you sick.
I love that.
Organically.
Yeah, and you're so right. And I think this is a message that, so for our beautiful conscious entrepreneurs and our soulful entrepreneurs out there, or ones who feel called to write, to share, I hope you've taken this in, how important it is to marinate, how important it is to be in the work, to be breathing it and living it, applying it to our own lives, doing our own healing work, and trusting the divine, the sacred and spirit, that the work will come through you. And I really believe in that. Like, people say, how did you get through this when your parents passed, all this? I said, because it wasn't just me. It was spirit working through me. If it was just me, I would have probably been crying that my parents passed in 2020. What would you say? Thank you. What would you say to people who are doing their work, they're starting, they're excited, they want to start a business, they want to start doing workshops and teachings? What would you say to those who are just beginning to get that spiritual call to step forward and share their spirit with the world?
I will say that if you do not judge yourself, nobody else can judge you, and the judgments will disappear from your path. And like the fourth agreement, you will do your best, and that's all you can. And when you are like this, you're living your dream and experiencing something, because we do sharing to experience it. Because when you give, you receive. Because sometimes when I do conferences and people say that I'm giving to them, I said, no, you may see it from that point of view, but you're giving to me something. You're giving to me gratitude to do what I love to do. And that's one thing, when we're doing what we love to do, it's just there's the magic, and there's this message that my best friend showed me. She said, look at this message, and the message was, do not rob the world from the creativity that you have inside your heart. Do not cut your own wings, and when you're ready, just do your best and deliver it. When I was before the pandemic, I was in Portland, and I said to everybody that I just love to do this work. I just love to share because this is what I was love to do. And I always speak like if it was going to be my last time. And I always do my best, because that's the moment I don't know if I'm going to have tomorrow. Tomorrow I may not be here. And then the pandemic came. And it was like 2 years or something that I couldn't be, live with people. And the first thing that I felt when I was live in an audience, I say thank you. Even though there was not as much people like it was before, even though they were separated, in space, I say to them, thank you, because I thought I would never do this again. And that's one beautiful thing about doing this work, the gratitude that we can do it, to never lose that momentum and that moment, because without gratitude, there is no doors to heaven.
Thank you so much for that. And it's so true, because there's I think there's so much information out there where people start to feel, or what I've seen or heard, como privilegiados, like they're supposed to. And I know no matter how many years I've been, doing this, I'm so grateful I get the chance to do it. It's not about not honoring myself and the work I've done. It's more like otro día para estar con la comunidad, another day to be in community, like it is to have this conversation with you and to have folks receive this now. We are in community, right? And that's why technology, it could be good, it could be bad, but wow, it could really bring us together across time and space. And Don Jose, what would you say to business owners who maybe have a business and now they're waking up spiritually? Because I would say not every business owner is, a healer. Not every healer is a business owner. We can be a healer anywhere we are, in a school, as a postman. But for those business owners who are now waking up and going, wow, I've been pushing, I've been shoving, I've been trying to make the money, and now I'm realizing there's more to life, there's more to me. So those business owners that are already out there established, who are waking up and seeing that there's more to them.
Yes, the most powerful thing about being in that world is integrity. It's like being in a village. You have your farms, and you let people to work in your village, in your lands. With gratitude, they'll come and serve. And when you treat them with integrity, they will respond with integrity, with gratitude. So it will be a place of gratitude. And that energy will create itself. And to not let people also walk all over you, to speak your voice as you feel it, to not be the sacrificer, to not be, the one to be the perfect image. You always be the truth when you are in that world, because you're responsible like a family person. Like when you're the head of the family, you have integrity and you always speak the truth. And you can see and correct people without breaking their wings, but encouraging them to even learn even more. In that time, people who work with you will be as a family, that at one point they will take a ranch like that and open it somewhere else, because that dream will expand. But this is how many people begin, fundraisers, or begin, churches, or begin things, because it was established in one point and then it began growing, because it's the energy. Many people go to places, like to coffee places especially, because they love the energy of the place. They sit down and they hang out, and, it's a nice energy. And the food as well, like the magicians, like Como Agua, like Chocolate movie and book. It's like what are you cooking in your kitchen? If you cook with ill intent, people are gonna get sick. But if you start cooking with beautiful ingredients, people will get the heal and the nourishment. But it's about integrity when you step into that world.
I love that. And that's one of my favorite movies. Yes, like Butter for Chocolate. Me encanta esa película. Is there anything that you want to share that's on your heart now for us? I mean, you've shared so much and it's been so good. Is there anything else that's still on your heart that wants to come through for those people who are watching, listening, who are interested in building a business or building a business, and maybe stressed out about it.
Well, first of all, saying we're the love of our life. That's important. And when we are the love of our life, where do we want to go? Where we want to share our love? Because life goes so quick. Time goes so quick. You really want to do a certain kind of work or you don't. And it's always to be truthful to you. And you begin and you're loving the work, beautiful. But the moment that you change your mind and you want to experience something else, permit yourself to do that, to close that chapter, and someone else will do it. But you continue taking yourself to an inspiration and to follow the inspiration of life. That is the magical thing, because then you can see that looking back, said, oh, I opened this business, I opened that business, I opened that business, but I learned to detach for someone else to take over. But all of those businesses represent goodness. But the thing that what goodness is, because we let our stardust there. And that's the beautiful thing about action in life, because we are in action all the time. So we're creating energy all of the time, with awareness or not awareness. But when we become aware that we're creating energy, is one of the most beautiful things. And to really understand that we're the love of our life, that no one has the right to scream at us, and we don't have the right to scream at anybody. You know, we take machismo out of our mentality, and we stop suppressing ourselves. And when we start suppressing ourselves, we stop suppressing the world. And that alone is the best business that it could be. The business of freedom.
I love that so much. Thank you. The business of freedom, not only for ourselves, but from others. And that's how we transform the dream of colonialism, right? Capitalism, racism, oppression. Because if we show up in our truth and integrity, of course, we're going to make an impact. So thank you so, so much, Don Jose. Is there anything, where can we find you? And do you have anything coming up October and on that you would like us to know about or for people to look into?
Yes, you can look me at miguelruiz.com. And in the future, I will have a webpage called donjoseruiz.com. And I'm excited to share with everybody that next year, I will be taking the reins of my families and doing a tour that I haven't done like in 15 years. It's called the Love of Your Life Tour. And I'm going to go through every little city in very intimate places. So I'm excited to share this dream with everybody and to get to experience this. And I want to thank you for the service that you do in your path. And I know we both work for the same boss as everyone listening as well.
Thank you so much, Don Jose. I hope that you're coming through Harrisburg, but if you go through in Pennsylvania, if not, I'm going to have to drive and find my way to get there and give you a hug or at least give you a wave. So thank you so, so much. Gracias a todos por estar con nosotros. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you've really taken this in. Don Jose comes from a beautiful family of Toltec wisdom with Toltec ways, and they've applied it each generation in a beautiful way to share it with the world and to walk their talk and to practice it. And for us, whether we remember our ways or not, whether we're in the process of remembering, we have ways. Our ancestors have walked in ways that we may not know their names anymore. But I'm with you. And in this process, we will, in this process called life, in this process called, our life's journey, if we listen to the bird, if we listen to the stream of the river, if we lay on the grass, our ancestors are here. They're in the rocks. They're in the wind. They will bring us the answers. They may not bring us names. They may not bring us specific, but they will guide us and they will love us. And none of us is a lost child. None of us is a lost child. We are all loved. So gracias por estar aquí. Thank you. Thank you, Don Jose Ruiz. Un placer. Gracias a todos. Thank you so much, beautiful people. Gracias, mi gente hermosa, por estar con nosotros. 4 ciclos, 4 seasons we've been together. We're going into the 5th season. I have 2 things. 1, if you enjoyed Don Jose Ruiz today, please check out the Ancestrally Rooted Business Summit that came out in 2022 with 35 other experts. It was really wonderful. I'll place the link in the information. And second, I have an ask for you. If you've enjoyed this podcast, let me know what you want to know more about. What kind of conversations do you want to hear? Do you want to hear more about astrology? Do you want to hear more about business? Do you want to hear more about how to market in alignment, how to grow a business, how to tap into ancestral healing? Let me know, because we're moving into the 5th season and I want to continue serving, flowing, and growing with my comunidad. Mucho amor. Gracias.